1 billion people watching India versus Pakistan, bodyline to monkey gate, 8-0 World Cup record, and an underarm ball bowled. Cricket has some of the most intense rivalries in the history of all sports. And in this video, we are going through the most legendary ones. This is every legendary cricket rivalry explained in 12 minutes. India versus Pakistan. These two neighbours became rivals the moment they started playing cricket against each other because every match carries massive national pride for both sides. With over 1 billion people watching every encounter, the pressure is insane, and winning means everything to fans on both sides. It's the kind of rivalry where players become instant heroes or villains based on one delivery. The rivalry kicked off in 1952 when they played their first ever test match, and it's been intense ever since. Take the 1996 World Cup quarter-final in Bangalore, where the crowd got so heated that Pakistani players were pelted with bottles when India won. Then there's the 1999 test in Chennai, where Pakistan won, but the Indian crowd gave them a standing ovation for brilliant cricket. Showing respect can exist even in fierce competition. The 2007 T20 World Cup final was the first ever T20 World Cup championship, and these two faced off in the final. The game ended in a tie, and India won in a bowl-out, one of the most dramatic finishes imaginable. When you look at the numbers, they've played 59 tests, with Pakistan winning 12 and India taking 9, though 38 ended in draws. In ODIs, Pakistan leads 73 to 58 overall. But here's the brutal part for Pakistani fans. In ODI World Cups, India has never lost to Pakistan, maintaining a perfect 8-0 record. In T20 cricket, India dominates 13-3, and in T20 World Cups, India leads 6-1. They stopped playing regular series against each other, making every World Cup encounter feel like a final where the entire subcontinent stops to watch. England versus Australia. This rivalry exists because England invented cricket and thought they were the best. But Australia kept beating them and proving they were just as good, if not better. It became a battle of pride between the mother country and their former colony, and it's been going strong for over 140 years. The rivalry got its name in 1882, when Australia beat England by just 7 runs at the Oval. A British newspaper, feeling devastated, published a mock obituary saying English cricket had died and the body would be cremated with the ashes taken to Australia. That's how the Ashes was born, and it became cricket's most prestigious prize. But what really made this rivalry fierce was the bodyline series of 1932 to 1933. England was desperate to stop Don Bradman, who was averaging over 90 and making their bowlers look like amateurs. So they came up with a dangerous tactic called bodyline, where fast bowlers aimed short balls directly at the batsmen's bodies instead of the stumps. It was brutal and almost caused a diplomatic crisis. Australian captain Bill Woodfull got hit over the heart, and when England's manager came to check on him, Woodfull said that there are 2 teams out there. One is trying to play cricket and the other is not. Since then, they've battled for over 73 Ashes series, with Australia winning 34 and England claiming 32. In individual tests, Australia leads 152-112, and in ODIs, Australia dominates 92 to 65 from 162 matches. Then you've got legends like Don Bradman averaging 89.78 in Ashes matches, Shane Warne's Ball of the Century in 1993, and Ian Botham's incredible 149 at Headingley in 1981, when England pulled off an impossible comeback. India versus Australia. This rivalry exists because India got tired of being treated as the weaker team and decided to fight back hard, while Australia hates losing to anyone and refuses to back down.
Our battle will be legendary!
The result is one of the most intense and sometimes hostile rivalries in modern cricket, where neither side gives an inch. Everything changed in 2001, when Australia came to India riding a world record 16 consecutive test victories. In the Kolkata test, they forced India to follow on after bowling them out for just 171. The match looked over. Then V.S. Laxman walked in and scored 281 runs alongside Rahul Dravid, who made 180, and India won by 171 runs after being forced to follow on. It was one of the greatest comebacks ever, and it announced India was no longer going to be pushed around. But the rivalry rivalry really exploded in 2008 during the Sydney Test with the Monkeygate scandal. Australian all-rounder Andrew Simmons accused Indian spinner Harbhajan Singh of racial abuse, and Harbhajan was initially banned for 3 matches. The Indian team threatened to abandon the tour and go home. From that point on, every series between them became heated with aggressive sledging and players getting in each other's faces. Then came the 2021 Gabba Test, where a depleted Indian team missing Virat Kohli and other stars breached Australia's fortress that hadn't fallen in over 30 years. Rishabh Pant smashed 89 not out to chase down 328 on the final day. In Test cricket, they've played 107 times, with Australia winning 45 and India taking 32. But since 2008, the record stands at 29 wins each, showing how evenly matched this has become. South Africa versus New Zealand. These two became rivals simply because they're both competitive teams that want to prove they're better than the other, even though they respect each other deeply. There's no bad blood or drama, just pure sporting competition where both teams consistently punch above their weight on the world stage. The numbers show South Africa has been dominant historically. In Tests, South Africa leads 26-7 from 49 matches, and in ODIs, they're ahead 42-27 from 74 encounters. But here's where it gets interesting. New Zealand has this incredible ability to show up in World Cup tournaments, reaching finals in 2015 and 2019, while South Africa has become infamous for choking in knockout matches. The most famous example was the 1999 World Cup semi-final, when South Africa needed just one run-off, 4 balls against Australia, and somehow managed to tie, getting eliminated on a technicality. This creates a fascinating dynamic where South Africa dominates the head-to-head record, but New Zealand delivers when it matters most, on the bigger stages. What makes this rivalry special is the mutual respect, with no sledging wars or controversial incidents, just 2 teams playing hard, fair cricket and producing world-class players like A.B. de Villiers and Kane Williamson. Afghanistan versus Pakistan. This rivalry exists because Afghanistan burst onto the cricket scene and started challenging Pakistan, their much more established neighbour. For Pakistan, losing to Afghanistan is embarrassing because they once considered them minnows. For Afghanistan, beating Pakistan proves they belong among the elite teams. The rivalry started in 2012 when Afghanistan played their first ODI against Pakistan. Nobody expected much from the newcomers who learned cricket in refugee camps and dusty fields.
Boom, roasted.
But Afghanistan had other plans. They kept improving rapidly, and the margins in matches kept getting smaller. In the 2019 World Cup, Afghanistan came agonizingly close to beating Pakistan in a thriller. In ODIs, they faced each other just 8 times, with Pakistan winning 7 and Afghanistan claiming 1 victory. But in T20 cricket, where Afghanistan really shines with world-class spinners like Rashid Khan and Mujib-ur-Rahman, they've played 16 matches, with Pakistan winning 10 and Afghanistan taking 6. The tension keeps growing because Afghanistan pulls off upsets against bigger teams in World Cups, proving they're not just there to make up the numbers. When Afghanistan wins, their fans celebrate like they've conquered the world, and the rivalry grows more intense with every encounter. England versus India. This rivalry exists because England invented cricket and dominated for decades, but India learned the game, got really good at it, and eventually became more powerful than their former teacher. It's the classic story of the student surpassing the master, and it completely flipped the power dynamic in world cricket. The rivalry started in 1932 when India played their first test at Lord's against England and lost by 158 runs, which was expected. For decades, England dominated, but India kept improving. The turning point came in 2002 at the NatWest final at Lord's. India were chasing 326 runs, which looked impossible, and they were struggling badly. But Mohammad Kaif and Yuvraj Singh pulled off one of the greatest chases in one-day international history. The celebrations that followed, with Sourav Ganguly taking off his shirt and waving it from the Lord's balcony, became an iconic moment that symbolised India's arrival as a force that wouldn't be pushed around. In Test cricket, they've played 141 matches, with England leading 53-37. But most of England's wins came in the early decades. In recent years, India has dominated, especially at home, where they have become almost unbeatable. England had their moment in 2011 when they won a Test series in India 4-0, shocking everyone. But the Indian Premier League has made Indian cricket the richest in the world, and India has established themselves as one of the most dominant teams globally, completing the power shift from teacher to student.
Who's laughing now?
Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka. This rivalry exists because Bangladesh wants to prove they're no longer the underdogs of South Asian cricket, while Sri Lanka wants to maintain their superiority over their neighbours. It's a rivalry driven purely by competitive spirit, with no extra drama, just two teams fighting for respect and supremacy. The story started in 1986 when Bangladesh played their first ODI against Sri Lanka and got demolished by 7 wickets. For years, this pattern continued. Sri Lanka, with legends like Mutia Muralitharan and Kumar Sangakkara, dominated Bangladesh across all formats. In Test cricket, they've played 26 matches with Sri Lanka winning 20 and Bangladesh managing just 1 solitary victory. But Bangladesh kept improving slowly and steadily. They developed quality players like Shakib Al Hassan, who could change games with both bat and ball, and they started winning matches they would have lost a decade ago. The breakthrough moment came in the 2025 Asia Cup, when Bangladesh ended Sri Lanka's 8-match winning streak in T20s, winning by 4 wickets with just 1 ball remaining. That victory felt different because it showed Bangladesh was no longer content with just competing. They wanted to win and earn respect. In T20 cricket, they faced each other 21 times, with Sri Lanka winning 13 and Bangladesh taking 8, showing the gap is closing. The rivalry is purely about cricket, with both teams pushing each other to be better. Australia versus New Zealand. This rivalry exists because they're neighbours across the Tasman Sea who are best friends off the field, but want to destroy each other on it. Australia has always been the bigger, more successful sibling, while New Zealand is the underdog that refuses to back down and occasionally pulls off stunning upsets. The rivalry is defined by one infamous moment. On February 1st, 1981, Australia and New Zealand were playing at the MCG, and the match came down to the final ball. New Zealand needed 6 runs to tie. Then Australian captain Greg Chappell made a decision that shocked the cricket world. He instructed his brother Trevor to bowl the final ball underarm, rolling it along the ground like a lawn bowl, making it physically impossible for New Zealand batsman Brian McKechnie to hit it for 6. The crowd erupted in fury. Commentator Richie Benaud called it one of the worst things he'd ever seen on a cricket field, and New Zealand felt utterly cheated. The underarm incident became infamous and defined this rivalry forever. Despite that moment, Australia and New Zealand have remained relatively cordial. Australia has dominated historically across all formats with more resources and bigger talent pools. But New Zealand has pulled off memorable victories when it matters most, reaching World Cup finals in 2015 and 2019, and producing world-class players like Kane Williamson and Brendan McCullum. The underarm incident still gets brought up whenever these two face each other, serving as a reminder that even the friendliest rivalries can produce moments of absolute madness.